In a green, green wood where the tall trees grew lived a little creature, quite special and new. Her name was Meowl, and she wasn't a cat, nor was she a bird. She was something twixt that. She had soft, fluffy fur, a lovely deep grey, and a twitchy pink nose that sniffed all through the day. Her ears stood up tall to hear every sound, from the rustle of leaves to the bugs on the ground. She had 4 little paws with pads soft as silk, and she loved to drink bowls of warm, creamy milk. This was the cat part, you see. But Meowl had more to her, oh yes, indeed. She had something else that she truly did need. On her back she had wings, with feathers so bright, a beautiful mix of pure brown and of white. They were not very big, but they were strong and quite grand, the prettiest wings in the whole of the land. She could fly to the branches, way up in a tree, and see all the world for the whole world to see. Her voice wasn't a meow, and it wasn't a tweet. It was a sound in between, both grumpy and sweet. This was the bird part, you see. So Meowl would spend her days in a curious way, with some time for a nap and some time for to play. She'd chase her own tail in a circle so fast, a game that she hoped would forever just last. Then she'd stretch out her wings and give them a flap, and fly from the ground right into her own lap. She'd pounce on a beetle that crawled on the floor, then soar to the roof and ask, "What is this for?" She was part of the sky and part of the ground, this wonderful creature that nobody found. Her home was a nest, but a nest on the floor, tucked under a bush right beside a big door. It wasn't a real door, but a hole in a log, safe from the rain and the wind and the fog. It was woven with twigs, just like a bird's nest would be, but lined with soft moss, as you plainly could see. And inside she had treasures, a smooth river stone, a shiny red leaf, all things that she'd own. She was cozy and warm in her little house nest, a cat-bird girl putting her skills to the test. But being so different was not always fun. "Oh dear," sighed Meowl. "I am the only one." The squirrels would all chatter and climb up the trees. They'd gather their nuts with such confident ease. They had bushy grey tails and families too, but none of them had wings, and none of them flew. They'd look at her fur and then at her wings and whisper about such peculiar things. A cat with some feathers, a bird with 4 paws. She doesn't obey any of nature's laws. This made Meowl feel sad, and she'd hide her face low. The birds in the sky would all sing a sweet tune, from the bright light of morning to the pale afternoon. They'd soar on the wind so graceful and high, like tiny dark specks against the blue sky. Meowl would fly up to join in their game, but they'd stop all their singing and call out her name. "Meowl, oh dear Meowl, you fly like a rock. Your flapping is clumsy, it gives us a shock." They'd look at her paws and her twitchy cat nose, and Meowl would feel lonely right down to her toes. So she'd fly back to ground with a tear in her eye. "I don't fit with the fur folk," she'd say with a sigh. "They can't understand why I want to just fly." She'd sit with the rabbits and twitch her own nose, but they'd hop away quickly on their little back toes. They were scared of her claws, so sharp and so thin they didn't want Meowl to come and join in. They'd burrow down deep in their holes in the ground, where Meowl with her wings could never be found. She just wanted a friend to play with all day, but everyone she met would just run away. "And I don't fit with the feather folk," she'd sadly then peep. "My meow is too loud, and my paws are too deep." She'd try to build nests in the branches so high, but the twigs would all fall as she started to fly. The robins and sparrows would just shake their heads. "You belong on the ground, in your mossy-lined beds." So Meowl felt quite lost, a bit of a mess, and her heart filled with a great, deep sadness. She wished she was just a plain bird or a cat, and not this strange mixture of this thing and that. One sunny morning the air was abuzz. A terrible thing had happened, it just was. A squirrel named Squeaky ran down from a tree. His tail was all fluffed up for all folks to see. "The berries are gone," he cried with a shout. "The big winter bush has no berries about. We stored them all high on the branch of the oak. This isn't a game and it isn't a joke." A rabbit named Barnaby hopped up and said, "I saw them last night as I went to my bed. They were shiny and red, a wonderful pile. Now there's nothing at all, not for a long while. All the animals gathered, with worry and fear. The cold winter months were getting quite near. The berries were food for the cold, frosty days. They were needed for soups and for puddings and clays. A wise old badger named Brock stroked his chin. Who could have done such a terrible sin? The branch is too high for a fox or a mouse to climb all the way from their underground house. It must be a creature who knows how to fly, a thief from the air, a thief from the sky. All the birds started chirping. It wasn't us, no. We only eat worms from the soil down below. Meowl was hiding and heard all the fuss. She saw all the worry, the trouble, the plus. She felt very sorry for all of her friends, even though they had not made amends. She looked at the branch so very far high, a tiny dark line against the bright sky. She knew that a squirrel, though a climber so grand, could not reach that spot from the grassy green land. She also knew birds, with their beaks small and neat, couldn't carry a whole pile of berries so sweet. Something was wrong with this picture, she knew. So Meowl had an idea, a plan in her head. I may not fit into herself, she then said, but I have paws for to climb, and I have wings for to fly. Maybe I can help them if I only just try. She crept from her hiding spot under the log and pushed her way out through the morning's thick fog. "Excuse me," she said in her voice soft and low. "I think I can help you. I think I might know." All the animals turned, with a gasp and a stare, at the strange catbird creature who was standing right there. Squeaky, the squirrel, looked doubtful and said, "What can you do?" as he tilted his head. Meowl didn't answer. She just took a leap from the ground that was grassy and muddy and deep. She used her sharp claws, the ones they all feared, and started to climb up the oak, it appeared. She scrambled and scurried right up the thick trunk, her paws finding holes where a bird would have sunk. She climbed like a cat, so nimble and quick, performing a truly remarkable trick. The animals watched with their eyes open wide. They had never seen such a thing from outside. When she got to the branch where the berries had been, a new part of the story could now just begin. The branch was too thin for her to walk on, you see. It wobbled and swayed high up in the tree. So Meowl did the next thing that she could do best. She stretched out her wings from her mossy-lined nest. With a flap and a flutter, she lifted so high and hovered right there in the big open sky. She flew all around the thin, wobbly branch, giving her a much better new chance. And there, tucked inside a big hole in the wood, she saw all the berries and knew that she could. A family of magpies, all shiny and black, had taken the berries and would not give them back. "These are ours." They all squawked with a flash of their wings. Meowl used her voice, and the strange sound it brings. She let out a meow and a tweet, loud and clear, a sound that the magpies had great cause to fear. It sounded like a giant catbird of prey, and the frightened birds grabbed their things and flew away. Meowl then used her paws to push all the berries, and they tumbled down to the ground like red cherries. The animals cheered, "Hooray for Meowl, hooray!" They had found their food for a cold winter's day. Squeaky the squirrel said, "Your claws are so grand." Barnaby the rabbit said, "You're the best in the land." From that day on, Meowl was never alone. She had plenty of friends to call her very own. She learned that her fur and her feathers, so bright, were not wrong at all, but were perfectly right. Being part cat and part bird was the best way to be, for it made her herself, and it made her just Meowl, you see.